Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here, and welcome to another video of analyzing culture and gaming. With the Decidueye out of the way, I think it's time we move on to the next of the final evolutionary forms of Pokemon Sun and Moon starters, Incineroar. Now, there's a lot of conflict behind this guy in the Pokemon community. Some people are happy that they don't have to deal with another final form fire fighting type. Others are wishing that it was. Some people say that being dark type was acceptable, others are saying that it's not, and some people are actually upset that yet another fire starter is going from a quadruped to bipedal. But where did Incineroar's character design come from? After all, so far all these other Pokemon that I've analyzed all had backstories of their own, so what about this guy? Well, let's look at the information we have for clues. From what we know on Pokemon's website, this guy breaks all the rules, including attacking opponents with little concern and sometimes actually hitting the trainer, which will give trainers very little incentive to use him in battle. The more pumped up a crowd is, the more powerful he becomes, but if the crowd is lacking in energy and luster, Incineroar will actually fight very poorly. And despite having a cold demeanor outside, when children admire him, his heart is overjoyed. The true colors of Incineroar also come out when fighting weak or injured Pokemon, as it has absolutely no interest in fighting them. Now when it comes to hard stats, we know that Incineroar has a trademark ability called Darkest Lariat, which does damage regardless of any stat changes in their opponent. He also has the Blaze ability, which increases power of fire moves by 50% at half health or less, 183 pounds, 5'11", fire dark type, and is known as the heal Pokemon. Wait, what do you mean by heal? Are we talking about shoes or an overexcitable dog? Heal Pokemon? What context are we talking about here? Well, Incineroar does have a Pro Wrestling Championship belt made of fire, which is apparently where he gets all his power from, so let's look at this terminology from a pro wrestling standpoint. Pro wrestling is far, far more than just two half-naked guys wrestling around. There's drama, there's story, there's battles of good and evil, and that's exactly where this terminology comes into play. A heel refers to the antagonist or the bad guy, who is opposite to the face or the good guy. Now, if you're under the age of 16 and still really confused as to why heel is used to refer to the bad guy, I kinda don't blame you, because originally the term came from the 1910s, when the term heel was used to basically describe a jerk. Heel wrestlers are the dirty tricksters. They broke all the rules. They would bring in foreign objects like chairs and ladders and sometimes even weapons. They would abuse the ropes, tying their opponents in them, and sometimes they would even distract or even KO a referee. And the worst heels in wrestling would beg the face for forgiveness and mercy only to stab him right in the back. I know that sounds a little cartoony, but believe me, even to this day, people love this kind of stuff. But here's the thing though, not every heel stays a heel, and not every face stays a face when it comes to pro wrestling. For example, even though Stone Cold Steve Austin displayed a lot of heelish behavior, he became a face persona. And when it comes to my personal experience with pro wrestling, the absolute worst case of face turning heel was back when Native American wrestler Tatanka became a heel when he sold out to the $1 Million Man. God, that really speaks volumes of how old I am. A few people have accused Incineroar of not being a true wrestling heel, as it refuses to fight weak and injured Pokemon, and underneath its villainous demeanor, it's a big softie with kids. Well, two things in response to that. One, Incineroar might be a heel, but like I said, not all heels stay heels. And secondly, the part of a heel is exactly that, a part. All wrestlers, both face and heel, play to an audience. They provide a performance to get people pumped up for better or worse. Just like how Incineroar gets its spirit from pumping up crowds. If it was to fight a weak Pokemon, how would such a one-sided match get its spectators invigorated? So that defines what a heel is, but what does that have to do with Incineroar's dark type? I mean, when you think dark, you think shadowy, magical, in the shadows kind of Pokemon. But Incineroar is far from. In fact, in his bio it states that he loves the attention that he gets from the crowds, and that empowers him. Well, forgive my weeabooish tendencies, but we actually have to look at dark type between the US and Japan. See, in Japan, this type is called Aku, which is literally evil. And it can be any kind of evil, whether it be chaotic or lawful. Knowing this, it actually makes more sense for Incineroar to be dark type with his cartoonishly evil traits than fighting. Now, next thing we gotta talk about is design, because why a cat wrestler of all things? A lot of you have said that the exaggerated design comes from Lucha Libre's heels known as rudos. Or should I just say rudos? I don't know, no matter what pronunciation I use, I think I'm gonna make someone mad. Screw it, whatever. I will concede to you that Lucha Libre may very well be the origin of this kind of wrestler, But when it comes to Incineroar, I think there's a far more specific point of origin for this character design. Yep, you guessed it, Japan. I believe the true origin of Incineroar comes from a very popular Japanese wrestler manga known as Tiger Mask. Beginning a colossal legacy in the late 60s, early 70s, Tiger Mask started off as a terrifying heel wrestler who was completely feared in the United States. But when he returned home in Japan, he decided to become a good guy because he was confronted by a small child who was a huge fan and said he wanted to be a villain just like him. Understanding the power and influence that he had and the responsibility that came with it, Tiger Mask pulled a 180 and became a face. And let me just say, if you're a fan of wrestling and manga, I would give this a shot. This manga is actually pretty good. But in Japan, it was far more than just good. It was massively influential, to the point where real-life wrestlers would don the mask and the name and bring Tiger Mask to life. From Satoru Sayama in 1976 as Tiger Mask I to this very day with Kota Ibushi as Tiger Mask Double, there have been 6 different wrestlers who have inherited the name Tiger Mask. And it goes without saying that between then and now, there's been even more multimedia on Tiger Mask. You had the Tiger Mask anime known as Tiger Mask I between 1969 and 1971, which then evolved into Tiger Mask II of the 1980s. There was actually a live adaptation film in 2013, and in October of this year, 2016, the anime known as Tiger Mask Double made its premiere. A story about 2 young men who take 2 very different paths to get revenge on the heel wrestler and his associated organization, the Global Wrestling Monopoly, for crippling their father/mentor. And it's here we find the greatest clue to Incineroar's design. You've got Naoto Azuma, who plays the legendary Tiger Mask in this anime, but he's actually an underdog face. But then you've got Takuma Fuji, the son of the wrestler who was crippled. After sustaining a scar injury, which seems to be a trope in anime these days, Takuma actually sought out the Tiger's Den of the Global Wrestling Monopoly. To say that the training practices of this organization were shady and inhuman really is an understatement. Takuma, outpacing his competition through brutal practices, becomes the top of his group and dons the black and red Tiger Mask, earning him the name Tiger the Dark.
Tiger the Dark.
Tiger the Dark! I mean, do I even need to point this out? Look at the designs between Incineroar and Tiger the Dark. The color scheme is identical, as is that cross-stripe pattern. Not to mention you have Incineroar, who is a fire-dark type, and then you have Tiger the Dark, with dark in his name, on top of the eerily similar design. And is Tiger the Dark also a heel wrestler? You better believe he is. Every single time I've seen this guy fight, he's doing something shady. But my fellow Gaijins, this brings up a very interesting point. Which of these 2 cool cats with the black and red design came first? Pokemon's Incineroar or Toei Animation's Tiger the Dark? Remember, the Tiger Mask Double anime came out in October of 2016, with Pokemon Sun and Moon coming out only 1 month later. So now I ask you, is this just a massive coincidence, or is there an even deeper conspiracy of one of these guys influencing the other? What do you guys think? And hey, with all this talk of anime, how about a quick shout out to Loot Anime for sponsoring this video? They've been supporters for months now, which has allowed me to continue to make content exactly the way that I want to. For about $30 a month, you get 46 items worth twice the price in the mail every month, and every box has a theme. My box's theme of Demi-Human had One Punch Man Volume 1, Tokyo Ghoul keychain and stand set, Bleach watch, Twin Star Exorcist t-shirt, and the Demi-Human phone charm. And with this month's box theme of Blade, you can expect goods from Sword Art Online Progressive, Berserk, Gintama, and Bleach. So if you want in on all this anime goodness, head on over to lootcrate.com/Goombah3 and input the code Goombah3 at checkout to get 10% off your purchase. But do not wait, because orders this month are due by the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific. But if you're looking for even more Pokemon Sun and Moon theories, click the left or the right to hear just how deep the Hawaiian Inspirations run when it comes to Pokemon of Alola. And be sure to never miss out on a single new episode by clicking my icon at the bottom of the screen. And until next time everyone, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.